Oh.
Now, I want to welcome John Coghlan. I can't stop singing that song, John. And you know everyone loves you in Australia. Yeah. And that was such a big hit.
Yeah. But I didn't, you know, and that, we just shown that clip. Somehow that was much faster than the original. I don't know how you did that. It was really going. I thought, bloody, we never played that fast. Yeah.
So what are your memories of the Top of the Pops?
Well, I think the first time it was in Manchester at the BBC, and the most embarrassing moment I remember ages and ages ago doing a radio interview over the phone, and this character said, "Where was your first Top of the Pops, John?" I said, "Oh, it was in Manchester. I remember the place because it was the actual looking outside. I can still picture it in my mind. It looked like a bomb site." And he said, "I know, that's where I live." Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was all right. You know, it was, we did loads of Top of the Pops, but the trouble is you're there all day. And I remember there was a bar upstairs, especially in the White City in London. They said, "Oh, yeah, you can go up to the bar, guys, but you've got to have a BBC personnel take you and sign you in." We weren't allowed just to go up there. And it was full of BBC people go up there when they finished being on screen. And they'd all, by 7, 8 o'clock, they're all pissed. It was quite
funny. So, John, going back, though, to those days, I mean, and the lineup and how you all got together, can you just, for those who don't really know, how did you all get together? How did it all work with, you know, all four of you? How did you meet? I mean, was it a case of, you know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what it was. When I was at school in Kingsdale Comprehensive in South London, there's a guy in my class, Steve Lainsworth. He said, "Johnny, you like aeroplanes, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, especially military." He said, "Why don't you join the ATC?" And I said, "What's the ATC? Air Training Corps." "Oh, okay, yeah." And so we cycled up there on our little cycles, and I met the CO, joined up. And also at the same time, I was teaching myself to play drums. And in the squadron, we formed a little band, just doing Shadows instrumentals, really, no vocals. And 2 guys kept coming in saying, "Can we listen?" And they were playing in a band in the T8 at Territorial Army garage, because their dad was in the TA or something. Anyway, so they said, "Would you be interested in joining us?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." Because at that time they were at school, I was at school. We had no idea, and that was Francis Rossi and Alan Lancaster. So if I hadn't joined the Air Cadets, I'd been interested in aeroplanes, I wouldn't have met Francis and Alan. Then, of course, as time went on, we met Rick Parfitt in 1965 down in Butlins Minehead for a summer season. In those days, if you was an entertainer of any sort, you weren't allowed to stay on the camp. You had to go and find a B&B in Minehead, which we did. Mr. and Mrs. Fitzer, and they were from Glasgow in Scotland, and where my dad was from. And I couldn't understand a bloody word they said, but never mind. It was somewhere to stay. But it's all different now when we do the convention.
Yeah, I was just going to say that on the 24th of September. Yeah.
Are you going to that?
Do you know what? I haven't got myself a ticket yet. I really hope it's not. It's probably all sold out now, but I will try. I will try, and because I love conventions, so I will try, John. I'll let you know.
Yeah, what it is, I think we've said before, because I think people book for the weekend, and I think that's how it works, and you stay on site. And the accommodation now is great for the bands. They allow us to stay now because we got much older. I think they probably, in the young days, because it was all like hidey high, they thought we were probably going to be a threat to women. Probably, I have no idea, which wasn't the case at all. It was so funny in those days, and but you know, it is good now. I just think what they should do is, like, if, you know, if there's some fans want to come see us play on the Saturday night, whatever it is, they should do a day ticket. And I think what the problem is that they probably did think about that, but they probably think they got friends down there and that you'd bunk into their chalet with and not pay anything, you know. So maybe that's the case. But yeah, do try, Sabine. Let us know.
I do. I've only ever been to Bognor Regis, and that was I was about 12 years old or something. My mum didn't like it, so we came home after 2 days. Anyway, as you say, much improved, and I think it's going to be a blast. And I will try and get the weekend pass. And love to. Yeah. So, John, you know, with this tour now, you know, you've done all these dates. You've done the Half Moon Putney, as there were 2 dates there, and so after this tour now, so are you going to be doing like gigs now and again, or what's the plan?
Well, what we're doing, because what happened with this final tour, you know, this thing that came out, and John's retiring and all this. Jilly went mad. My wife said, "John's not retiring. I'm not. I'm playing a jazz thing. Jazz Meets Pop in October with some other musicians. There's a guy called Paul Jeffries, double bass player, and because once a month in Burford, Oxfordshire." There's the Warwick Hall, and he puts on jazz once a month, and there's some really good players, and it really is good fun. And I said, you know what, Paul, I'd love to do that one day, sit in and play. And we decided to do something together. So I think it was going to be, it's going to be. Their idea was do all his instrumentals. So you may even get Caroline and Down Down in an instrumental version. I don't know. We'll soon find out. But what it was, I want to get the brushes out and, you know, do some jazz. That's what I miss.
Yeah.
Because I did actually start that in my younger days, very briefly. I mean, you know, it goes on and on.
Yeah, well, it does stem from jazz. A lot of musicians say this, don't they? The jazz is like the fundamental basis for rock and roll and everything else. It all stems from there. Rhythm and blues, everything like that. Just like, you know, it's fantastic. So are you advertising the dates for that yet, or is that for the
that
jazz?
Would be, I think that's going to be just in, I think at this stage, probably Gloucestershire, Oxfordshire area, not travelling too far. Because you know what really hit the music business in a massive way was that horrible thing we don't like to mention, that lockdown.
Yeah.
And we cancelled with JCQ, we cancelled 4 dates, 4 little tours of Holland. And my wife said, you know, I've booked, cancelled 4 to 5 times. You get to the point and you think, you know, if we did go abroad, then COVID arrived. We're stuck there for 10 days and you can't get home. You know, so it did actually knock a massive hole in the music business. So we'll see how things go. But I will be doing JCQ later on, hopefully in the year, if not next year.
Brilliant.
Yeah, John, I've got to ask you, with 2022 being the 50th anniversary of the formation of Status Quo, I've got to tell you how much impact you've had on Australia and how much Australia loves Status Quo, and the love hasn't stopped. How many times did you come to Australia, and what was it like when you came the first time?
I think, well, I remember we have been a few times, and you know, I remember that very long plane journey. Do I need to drink another bottle of wine? Yes. You know, get over the journey quick as you can. But I remember playing Australia listen to this, Slade, Status Quo, Lindisfarne, and a band called Caravan. We got on the plane with all our road crew, and the most funniest thing was the whole tour. We arrived in Sydney, I think it was. It could have been Melbourne. I'm not sure now. Anyway, the headlines on the papers are a lot of British musos have come over here. We call musos, thank you for that. That's really nice and welcoming to do a tour. And the internal flights, would that have been Ansett, I suppose? Would it have been Ansett in those days?
Ansett's the airline, yep.
Yeah, and then what we were told, because there's all these English musos with all their road crew, there's bound to be some upheaval on the plane. And there were 4, I think, detectives sitting on each plane we flew in. And what was really funny, we got to spot them because they stood out like sore thumbs, because they not having police uniforms, but they were so smart, and it's scorching hot weather in Australia, and they're still looking like detectives. And every time we got on the plane, we go, "Hello, guys, how are you today? Any arrests?" No, they haven't arrested anybody. So the whole tour was like, yes, they didn't arrest anyone. It was so funny. But yeah, Randwick Race Course, we did that. I remember doing that. That was good fun. And Australia was great to play. And yeah, you're right, Quo fans, they loved the band. It was great.
Now, with your tour, what you're currently doing now and these gigs and everything, the great thing is, the music that you do lives on. And when you look back, how fantastic are the songs that you co-wrote? And I also want to ask you about that song, Living on an Island, because that was a bit different from the rock and roll. Tell me about that too.
Well, at the time, yeah, that's right. At the time, I was living in the Isle of Man because we had to leave the UK because we were paying so much in tax, and the word was get out of the country for a year. Oh, okay. So I went to the Isle of Man because I had lots of friends there, and that is a tax haven. And Francis went to Southern Ireland. Rick Parfitt went to Jersey because that's a tax haven. And Alan was in Sydney, Australia anyway.
Mm.
And a lot of Manx people on the Isle of Man actually thought I wrote the song. I said, no, Rick Parfitt wrote that. And they thought it was about the Isle of Man. And I said, no. I said, Rick wrote that about Jersey.
Yeah.
And all these Manx people, oh, bloody hell, I thought that was about Isle of Man. I said, yeah, just make out we wrote it about the Isle of Man. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so that was written in Jersey by Rick Parfitt.
Amazing. Now, Sabine, any more questions?
Well, let's talk about your current band, because I hadn't seen you guys before the Half Moon Putney. So let's talk a little bit about the current lineup and how that all formed, and your songs in the Heritage Chart, because Mike Reid is a great supporter of you, as you know.
Yeah.
And No Return, he played that the other morning for me, actually. And yeah, he is good. He's very good, the best.
Yeah,
So,
it's been. I've been with Mick Hughes, who was our guitarist and one of the vocalists, rhythm guitar mainly, and we selected. There was quite a few different musicians in the band at the time, and it all originally started by a character I know called Pete Barton up in Lancashire, who's like a musician plus agent. And he suggested to me years ago, it must be 10, 15 years ago, maybe why don't you put a band together that plays all the Quo stuff that you played on, because you're entitled to do it. And I said, that's a great idea. Anyway, so we did a few gigs all around. We ended up playing in Monaco, not when the Grand Prix was on, but we ended up playing there downstairs in the casino of all places, and we had quite a good following of posh people in Monaco. It was rather loud. And it was good. And yeah, we did. Then, of course, lineups change, as you know. So at the moment, it's Rick Chase on bass vocals. It's Pete Mace on guitar and vocals, and Mick Hughes on guitar and vocals. So it works very well. And we enjoy it. Next gig is Aldershot. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Next gig,
No.
Abingdon.
Yeah. Abingdon. Is that Oxford? I don't know Abingdon. Is it
Abingdon?
Oxford?
It's south of Oxford. It's probably about 10 miles away from
Yeah,
Oxford.
well, it's all on the back of the T-shirt. You know, I've got it on. Look, you know, I've got the T-shirt on, and it's all
Good.
on the back, isn't it? I've got Portsmouth, is it? And
Aldershot.
yeah,
Yeah.
Aldershot's in Hampshire. I know that because I used to live in Basingstoke in the 70s. So, well, we left London in 67 to go to my dad's job, basically. We were there till, well, I was there till 80, and then I moved back to the smoke.
Yeah.
So, so I know Aldershot. Yeah, great.
I
And then
think
the convention, you know, so, yeah.
Look, I think it used to be, Aldershot used to be full of army.
Yeah.
It was is it still like that now?
Army base, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so.
And then what about new songs and an album? You know, what have you got planned for next year? I know we're thinking on, but this is how it goes in the music business. And when you're a very creative soul and you're a musician, you know,
Yeah.
So you're always thinking about the next song, the next album, you know, touring it, of course, you know, but, you know, doing dates here and there. And so have you got a plan for 2023?
Well, we have recorded some stuff. We did that at Pete Macy's house. It's amazing what we can do in house these days. But yeah, then all of a sudden the guys sort of run out of ideas for writing songs, and all I did was I didn't write any stuff, of course, but I just played drums, but just as well, really, because I can't play anything else. Someone said
very well.
Yeah, they said, why do you play drums? I said, because that's the only bloody thing I can play. I can't play anything else.
And the bongos. I love those bongos.
Oh, congas.
Oh, congas. Yeah. Sorry. But they were massive. Like when I saw you playing at Half Moon. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
John, I just got to ask you, with all these live events, especially Live Aid, I mean, how great was that in 1985? What's your memories of the biggest gigs that you ever played, and what's your favourite?
Well, I didn't play on Live Aid because I left the band before that, so it wasn't me. I watched that at home. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, we've done some great gigs, a lot of festivals in our time. I was doing an interview the other day for radio over here, and you know, the person knew more about me than I did, and I said I had to say, look, you know, I think we've made 14 albums, we've done endless tours. If we weren't recording, we were touring. If we weren't touring, we were recording, and I had to say, you know, I said, look, you know, where we play, we've done Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Scandinavia, Australia.
Reading, 1972.
Yeah.
I was there.
Was you in Reading? The festival, I mean, yeah.
I was chaperoned. I was only allowed to. I was very young.
12.
Honestly.
Yeah, but you still went to the bar for a drink.
Lemonade.
Well, yeah.
I know.
But
I was there.
John Peel, the DJ with John Peel was good for us at Reading Festival. And also, I must admit, another radio station, pirate radio station called Caroline was good for us because when we released Caroline, you know, great.
I know, brilliant. I must just tell you a little story. Can I, if I may, can just interject here a little story? Right, I want to show you something. Don't know if I've shown this to you. I've shown everybody. Everybody's seen this. Right, this is 1976, the year of the heat wave. It was a Basingstoke Carnival Queen. I was, my student friends kept ribbing me about, oh, enter it. Well, when I did, I didn't win. I came runner-up, and Rick put his arm around me because, you know, to console me. And he said, don't worry, love. I'll put your name in a song sometime. I said, yeah, make me famous. But anyway, here's Rick and Bob Young. They were on the panel of judges.
Just lift it up higher, Sabine. Lift it up higher.
Can you see it? Oh, sorry. Can you see it now?
Closer to you. Closer to you.
Oh, closer to me.
That's it.
Yeah.
Up a bit.
Up a bit.
That's it. Now move it across slowly right there so we can see it.
Right. So Rick Parfitt and Bob Young, and they were judges on the panel. And I've recently reconnected with Bob because he's a Basingstoke boy and he'd written a book, and we kind of connected through this. He'd seen it. There you go. But Rick was so lovely. And so that's my little story about 1976.
Yeah, he's missed. we miss Rick Parfitt and we miss Alan Lancaster because they
Alan.
dear that we worked together since I've been, I worked with Alan Lancaster from 1962 onwards, so
Yeah.
and 65 with Rick Parfitt, so it's been a long time, but we had some good memories. And what was good news is that we thank God we did the tour, the reunion tour when we did, because
that was a 2-year thing, wasn't it? That was a 2-year,
yeah.
2013. Yeah.
Rick Parfitt wanted to carry on as we were, and Francis didn't want to do it. So Francis, allegedly, I was told this later on, that he said to Rick, "Why don't you and Alan and John go out Status Quo PLC?" Of course, Parfitt, Lancaster and Coghlan. And would have had to got someone else in, obviously, to replace Francis. But, of course, as you know, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That was Francis. He gave us, he suggested that to Rick, but, of course, it never happened.
Yeah. And so there was a documentary. I've seen it. I've seen it about 3 times now. Well, what did you think about that documentary? Because because where you all turned up and there was Alan and like you all kind of like hugged it out and everything seemed fine and and they filmed all the all of you sort of getting back and playing together and like old times. So
we were told to meet at Shepperton Studios. Now, I didn't know there's going to be a camera outside and turned up, because I've seen it, and this guy goes, "Hello, John, how are you?" I went, "All right." Typical me. And I didn't know, and of course, the only thing is I found about that place to rehearse is because it's a film set. It's for making movies, and it's all extremely. The walls are all padded. It's like a padded cell in a way, and the drums sounded to me really dead. Like they got a gaffer tape all over their heads, So that was pretty hard, but it was great fun to do it again, because the difference from when we played in the band originally was me and Alan. We had to get used to those in ears, the
oh right, yeah.
the monitoring system, which they're great actually. Once you get used to it, they work a treat.
Okay.
And also we were touring on those luxury tour buses, which I have to say is the only way to tour. Fabulous.
Yeah, they are fabulous. I've seen so many of them now. I mean, they really are high tech, aren't they?
Yeah, and
John, I've got to ask your latest release. I've already got people live on the net there writing in text, and they want to know your latest song so they can get airplay for you.
Oh,
that was Lockdown, wasn't it?
I already mentioned No Return. So which one are you talking about?
Yeah, there's 2 songs. One's Lockdown and one's No Return.
Yeah, Lockdown. Yeah.
So they're the 2 that JCQ recorded. Yeah, or he played both. Yeah.
Oh, it's in the Heritage chart. Yeah.
Yeah, Pete Mace wrote those. Guitarist Pete Mace wrote them. They're both songs, very good songs. They're very much like early Quo in a way.
Yeah, they were excellent. So keep on keeping on, John.
Yeah, I'll have to have a word with the guys and say get right.
And the jazz, because jazz is great. Why not? So I'm looking forward to that now. After the convention, after the convention. So that's the next thing.
Yeah, try and get into the convention. Give us a call if you can't get in.
I will.
Yeah. And how's things in Australia at the moment?
They're going really good here, but I got to say, John, I think we miss you. Any plans to come back to Australia? Because I'm here in Melbourne.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I may be coming out to Australia in January. Because Jilly likes to go and visit our chums in Australia, and especially Sydney, because Alan Lancaster's wife, is still there, of course.
Yes.
And I might make the damn effort and come this time and spend some time in Sydney.
Oh, I've never been to Australia.
You should go. You love it.
There you are. Put me in the suitcase, John.
And I must admit, though, being an Englishman in England, we have, public houses, and one goes for a drink and have a lovely, lovely time, and drink wine, and awfully nice. I Went to a pub in Sydney. God, it was like a toilet. It was like, what? And where all the spirits normally are on the English pub walls, it was all like blue tiles on the wall. You know, you go in some of these old latrines and things. It's, I don't mean any disrespect to the landlord. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the place, but it was like, and they looked at you when they came in. Now, bloody Poms are coming here. Get out, mate. You have to go in the other bar. I don't care. We go. It was great. Yeah, and it's good.
Yeah. So
John,
travel's on
did
the
you like the
horizon then.
Australian beer and the food here? Do you love the food and the beer?
Oh yeah, the wine's got Australian wine. Yeah,
Oh.
and the sunshine, and the Australian people are okay. You know, they're all right. Be nice when they're finished, but they're all right. No, they're
But I got to
lovely.
tell you, in the heyday, status quo here, they love you guys so much, man. I can remember it in the 70s. It was just unreal here. You guys were the biggest name out there and still are.
Yeah, thank you. That's nice. Do we still get radio play out there?
Yeah, you do. Status quo's played all the time. And I got to tell you something. They did a commercial, right, where they got down, deeper than down to sell groceries.
Oh yeah, I've seen that ad. Yeah,
it's true. They're going down, prices are down. It's true.
I like that.
very good choice.
The price is right. Listen, John, also I wanted to say, because we had Don Powell on the other week, and you know, and that was like, you know, he wants to come back on because we couldn't properly finish it all because he had a dash off, you know, the reasons why, and but we covered all the early stuff, but then he wants to bring it up to date with Les Glover and you know, the current band, and so he wants to come back, do part 2. So I'm gonna have to email him soon and get that all fixed up. But ever so sweet, and he came on. He gave us a long time. You know, with that. So, but I know you're pals with him, and and you have these lunches, which is lovely. And that's all. That's great. So you have that lovely kind of camaraderie, and I love that. That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Have you heard from him? Have you heard from him lately?
Yeah,
from Don. Is he
we
doing all right?
We don't phone each other every day, but we do speak occasionally. So it's the boys' lunch in London that we meet in bars.
Yeah,
there's Brian Bennett in the Shadows, drummer Brian Bennett. There's
Bruce
in the Shadows. And loads and loads of people that we know in the music business. And it's just really good fun.
Yeah. That's an annual thing, is it? Or is it like twice a year or something like that?
It's in the summertime, and we've done that one, and there's one at Christmas.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. No, I met Brian Bennett last year at a showbiz luncheon thing, and he was on my table, so I got talking to Brian. And fantastic.
Yeah, John, I've got to ask you, did you come across any of the Beatles in your career? Have you got a Beatles story you can tell us?
I met Ringo Starr once very briefly because Bob Young at the time was doing some management for him or something like that, and I met Ringo. In fact, I must say that I'm a lucky guy because all the drummers I've admired in my career as such, I've met them all and spent time. The biggest one ever was Buddy Rich from
wow.
Jazz, and I'll tell you how that started very briefly. Was I was with Premier Drums when I was with Status Quo, and Eddie Haynes used to say, he come to the gig in Manchester, I think it was. You know, he said, or something like that. I think it was Manchester somewhere. He said, "John, you like Buddy Rich, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Would you like to meet him?" He said, "I can fix it. We're buddies." I said, "You're joking, really?" Yeah. And what happened? I think it was something like we were in Manchester. He was in Preston at the Guildhall, or it was the other way around, whatever it was. And I said, "Yeah," and he fixed it, Eddie. So I'll do it for you. You can meet him. Anyway, so got a roadie to take me down to the venue. Walked in the back door, straight upstairs, and I heard his roadie say, "Buddy, your guest is here," and he must have. Obviously, it was pretty obvious. This guy walked in, really long hair, probably hadn't had a shave, rock and roll drummer, "Oh, hi, John, come in." And I tell you what, honestly, Sabine, He was the most loveliest guy I've spent time with. I spent 2
Wow.
hours with him.
Really?
And there was a woman journalist, and there was a photographer. And I remember she said, "Well, Mr. Rich, you're the best drummer in the world. What do you think of this guy? You know, this English rock drummer?" And whatever she did say, I can't remember it fully now, but I remember him. But he said, "Well, ma'am, there's no need for that. He's doing his job. I'm doing mine."
Oh, but well, how about Clem Catini? Because I met Clem last year, also at a luncheon.
Clem, he played on lots of hit records. He told me a lovely story where he got a call to play on Dave Clark, one of Dave Clark's records.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, you love this, John." He said, "Dave came up to me and said, Clem, could you keep it really, when you're recording, could you keep it really simple?" And he said, "What do you mean?" I mean, it really is. It just, so...
Bits and pieces.
It's all, it is simple. He said, "Why'd you ask?" I said, "Well, if it's a hit, might have to go on top of the pops and mine."
Oh,
I don't know if it's true. Lovely story.
Oh, he's so lovely. Yeah, I spoke to him the other day. He's really lovely. And Plastic has interviewed him. So haven't you, Plastic? Yeah.
Yeah, he's really great because when I was speaking to him, I said, "How many hits have you been on and what have you done?" And we're trying to clarify. I hope there's a book out about every song that he played on because there's so many hit records he played on. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. A massive CV, massive CV. I mean, who hasn't he drummed for, right?
I think he did. I think he played on. I think this is right at Love Affairs.
Everlasting Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he played on that because the drumming on that's excellent.
Yeah. Telstar.
Yeah. Did he play on Telstar? Wow.
Was it Telstar?
Yeah,
Plastic?
he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, he's so lovely. He's so lovely. And
I remember he said to me, he's got a lovely drum collection at home, as all drummers have. He said, "My wife said, now you're retired, Clem, you're going to sell everything." Why? Why should I sell all my drums? No, I'm going to keep them. And I've still got my original 1960 something Low Super Classic. I've still got that. And it's the same colour that Ringo's. Yeah.
Really? I was going to ask you that. Wow.
Oyster Pole, I think they call it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I won't say
Can I say he also played with, who was it? Billy, what's his name? The Pirate. What was that band again? The Pirate one in the early 60s.
What, me?
No. The session drummer.
Oh, Clem. What, Billy?
Clem.
Not Billy.
Johnny Pirate. Johnny.
Yeah, that's
Johnny,
it. He was in that band.
Johnny Pirate.
That's right. He was telling me pirate stuff.
Yeah, just good, Clem.
I don't know. All these drummers, huh?
Hey, they did Shaking All Over. That was the big hit there. Shaking All Over. Can't get bigger than that.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Shaking All Over. And he played on that.
Yeah.
That was Johnny Kidd and the Pirates.
Johnny Kidd and Pirates. That's the one.
I can't remember because I'm not into pirate stuff. But they're gold. You know, they're great.
Oh, there's a thing, John. Have you ever taken part in a drumathon? This is just off the cuff. I just thought, I just thought. Have you ever, done a charity thing where you've with other drummers, like done like a drumathon?
I did something with Pete York and Spencer Davis years ago. It was like those where two drummers talk about their life and drumming.
Right.
And we did a drum solo together. I think that might have been for Premier Drums. I can't remember, but I remember doing it with Pete York. He was Spencer Davis's drummer. And, good guy, good player. And I think he's now living in Germany, or he got married in Germany or something like that. So I haven't seen him or heard from him since, but good player.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, John, about your kits. Even though we're talking about it, we've got a lot of drummers here, and I want to ask you, did you try out Ludwig at all? Ringo's brand? And what brand do you associate yourself with over your career?
Well, I used I still got a Ludwig Super Classic, which I bought in Drum City in London in 19 I don't know, 60 something. And that costs a few bob, but I kept that one, and it's a lovely, lovely kit, and I used that on a lot of early Quo records, on Top of the Pops and all that, and then I moved on. Premier came forward and gave me a deal, and so I stayed with Premier for many years. We got a deal. Me and Russ Chad, we got a deal for Natal drums and percussion. That's where Sabine, you saw me play the congas.
The congas,
Yeah, good congas, yeah, and also the drum kit was Natal also smashing kit, and they just gave that to me and Russ.
Wow.
Yeah, to play at our JC.
What respect there, huh?
But
Brilliant.
I've had loads of. Do you know what I used to own? I bought it. I had to buy it. It was Louis Belson's double bass drum kit. I had that in the Isle of Man for many years. I had a couple of Premier kits, a Ludwig, and of course when you move house to travel down to here where I am now in Oxfordshire, you think, oh, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with that? And I had to sell some stuff, but I kept the Ludwig, of course, which I've said, but you know, various other bits. I got a lovely Yamaha kit, 9000, which I use on as a gigs. Probably use that on the JC the jazz thing.
Right.
There's so many drum kits about now, but I do believe that some of the drum kits are now made in China, and they're made on machinery.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because a lot of
Isn't everything China?
Yeah, and also see a lot of the early kits are handmade. You know, way they used to make drums, how they ever made them. So I don't know. I think maybe it's the cost of everything these days. I really don't know, but I'm happy with the old kit. The old kit. Yeah, the old kit.
You're funny, John.
I crack myself up sometimes.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks ever so much for your time, John. Really appreciate this. And anytime you would come on again, just and tell us about what you're doing, your next projects, your next tour, and whatever you're doing next year, come back on, you know. And
I'd love to. Tomorrow, I've you don't know this, but I'm a volunteer at the Cotswold Wildlife Park and Gardens.
I have seen something about that.
Yeah, and I was walking. What I do, I look after the museum there, right, on a Wednesday. I was walking past the emus one day to go to the office to get the keys to open up, and I saw the emu looking at me like this, you know, he was like that.
That's so funny.
You'll love this, Plastic. I went up to him and I said, "Hello." Oh, he looked at me like that, like they do, you know.
Yeah.
I went, "Hello, Dave. How are you?"
You called him Dave?
Yeah, I call everybody Dave.
I love it. Oh, I love
it. That's a great story. Now, John, I've got to ask you about Charlie Watts, right? Because he was in the jazz like yourself. Were you good friends with Charlie? Can you tell us a bit about Charlie and a few stories?
Well, I'll tell you one story, which was absolutely true. Simon Phillips, the drummer, was a friend of mine, and Simon used to live in Suffolk years ago. And I phoned Simon up, and guess what? I said, Charlie Watts Orchestra is playing in London. I can't remember where it was now, but he said, I know Charlie really well. I said, so he came down with his lady. Me and Jelly met him in town. We went to see. Anyway, we go into the gig, sit down, look at the stage. All we saw on stage was 3 drum kits. No back line, no keyboards, no trumpet, sax, whatever. Oh, okay. So they all walked on, 3 guys, and started playing with the brushes. Then it got really dramatic. Then here we go. Let's can see who can play the fastest. I'm sorry, drummers, but I find that terribly boring. You know, I leave that to other drummers. 2,000 mile an hour around a kit. That's like a guitarist who plays 50,000 notes in one song, and oh man, listen to me. And the drummer's doing a solo as well. I thought the drummer should keep time while this guy's showing off and doing his million. Of course, I'm going to get a roasting now from guitarists and drummers now. You watch. Oh well, No, but do you know what I mean? And anyway, so Charlie, sorry, Simon went to see Charlie, and he came back. Oh, Don, he said, Charlie's invited us back to his place in Chaney Walk for a drink. Great. So we get up there, and Charlie left the door open. He's got an apartment there. And they walked in, and his other two drummers were there. Anyway, Sue, who was Simon's lady, started asking Charlie some questions, you know, as you do, talking about drums probably. And this guy, oh no, he said, don't talk to Charlie. Don't talk to Charlie. He said, a really tough gig. And we went, boom, you know it works. Then he got nasty, and Charlie's going, oh, I'm sorry, guys, I'm sorry. And this guy must have been on something, you know. And Sue went, that's it. We're going, I can't stand this ignorant. So there was such a shame because Charlie was lovely. He said, John, can I have your number? I'll give you a call. And we did meet later on somewhere else. But, you know, it was such a shame. This was at Charlie's apartment. And Charlie wanted Simon and me and the two girls to come for a drink and a chat, which I've been a Stones fan since year one. And then I think, like Keith Richards said about Charlie once, he said, Charlie's lovely. He said, the good thing about Charlie is always there. You know, that beat is always there, every song. Yeah. And, you know, and you think, yeah, I can rely on that.
Yeah.
And all the space that they lead on their guitars, and Charlie leaves the space, you know, less is more. And that's why I was going to go at this stuff earlier. You know, 1,000,000 miles an hour. Okay, so you can play at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It doesn't really impress me or many people. But if you want to play at 1,000,000 miles an hour, you're entitled to do it. But like, it doesn't do much for me. I just like a good feel, a good groove. You know, so I'm talking to Brian Bennett about it. He said, John, it's all about the groove.
It's all about groove.
He was right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's where the passion comes into. You know, it's just
exactly. I just got to say, I got Nigel Pearce. He's got 3 radio shows in the UK, so I'm sure he's going to play his songs. And he's got a question there. He wants to know about Keith Moon.
What's he want to know about Keith Moon?
Well, he obviously wants to know what sort of a drummer he was. What did you think of him? Did you meet up with him? Tell us Keith Moon's story.
Well, Keith Altham, who was our publicist at the time, years ago, we were recording in London near Hyde Park somewhere, I can sort of picture. And he turned up with Keith Moon at the studio. And we're in the studio talking and chatting away. It was like quiet as a little lamb, Keith. He was lovely. We had a chat. And it was so nice. And Keith said, oh, Johnny, so have you got any Wonga? Now, you know, joint smoking cannabis, right? And I remember trying it once, and I thought, because I've always been a beer drinker, like Real Al, you know, ALE, not Dave or Al, Real Al, you know, Al, Real Al. Drugs never did it for me, really. I don't know. And Francis had a little bit of but he said, Spud, go and tell Keith Moon to get his fucking own. I thought that was rather nasty. Of course you can. Yeah, Keith, you know, be a guest. But, you know, keeping a little bit of it, and I'm going to keep that till later. No. I just go to the pub whenever I go around the corner, have a couple of beers, come back and really play. Yeah, Keith was great. I think he was, he played, if he played on his records, I'm sure Keith did. And I think he did extremely well. I thought he fitted into that band extremely well. And, yeah, great drummer, but he wasn't one of my favourite drummers. But what he did was great for good man.
Yeah,
I got to say, I saw him doing My Generation, and I saw him doing another song right on Shindig, I think it was. It was one of those American shows, and the way he drums with his arms, to me, looks very unorthodox. But he's like precision. The guy does precision drumming. And even though it might look like something different to you from every other drummer, but he's really fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I love Keith's drumming. And I think, you know, everyone says this. He's a bit like Animal from the Muppets. I mean, it's all very manic, you know, very manic and very animated. That's what Keith was very animated. You know, when he was on the drums, he was just it's true.
Yeah.
You know,
My favourite rock drummer was, without any doubt, was John Bonham.
Oh, John Bonham. Yeah.
You know, very quick story. I was with the Kinks at the time, not playing, of course, because Mick Avery was a drummer. But I got invited by Ken Jones, their tour manager, to come down to Piccadilly. I think it was a BBC studio at the time. It's a little theatre, and BBC put bands on in the daytime to record for a program to go out later.
Yeah.
And we sat in the seats there, and we're going, blimey, who's this? It was Tim Rose on piano, a bass player who I can't remember his name, and this guy called John Bonham. Of course, we didn't know his name was John Bonham.
Yeah.
Then Tim finished doing his piece. Then Bonzo came up to us and said, "Hi guys, my name is John Bonham. I'm Tim's going back to America tomorrow. Can I give you my phone number? I need a band because when Tim's gone, I don't have any gigs." And so we said, "Yeah, you know, like you do, you put it in your pocket and keep it." Of course, I didn't find any other bands that wanted a drum at the time. But then, of course, Led Zeppelin were formed, and oh man, you know, that's how drums should be played, with that groove and that bass drum sounding like a cannon. And also they're recording in a big open space in this house, which I thought it was below the stairs or by the stairs or something like that. And that sound he created was awesome, and I think that made Zeppelin for me. And I met John a few times, and of course, another thing, I got the Pretty Things, which I was a fan. Yeah, to support us on a British tour. And I said to Colin Johnson, we should get the Pretty Things. He said, "Why is that, Spud?" I said, "Well, they got an American deal. They got this. Could be good for us." And I said, "I'm a Pretty Things fan. I can watch them every night," which I did. And it was awesome. Anyway, so the Pretty Things got us some passes to go to Olympia and watch Led Zeppelin. So we went. Francis, he was made up. He says, "Spud, John Bonham is awesome." I said, "Yeah, he's my favourite." Anyway, so then we had passes when the show had finished to go backstage. Went backstage with the Pretty Things, getting some drinks and something to eat. And then there was a band playing for Led Zeppelin backstage, and I had a quick chat to John. But it just made my night to see John play. You know, he was awesome, and awesome. Just I'm sure there's millions of drummers think John.
Oh, it's right up there. I know. That's it. So
now, Sabine, if you can help us now, we want to know all your links, John, where people can keep in touch with you, so they can find out where you're playing next time, what's happening. Because as I said, with the COVID sort of dying down and doing live shows, just give us some links if you can.
Yeah, so where they can find out about the convention and, you know, sort of the rest of the tour dates.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to show you
Coghlan.com. We got...
Can I show you something?
This is a fantastic interview.
This is going to be... this was.
Oh, what have you got there, John?
Oh, I'll tease you first. It was when I met Buddy Rich. Buddy said, "John, have a play." I went, "Oh, God, no." He's asked me to play his drum.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, I was going to ask if you had a picture taken. Oh, my word. Look at that.
That's amazing.
That is, that's awesome.
I'm the one with the long hair, by the way.
I know. I can see that. I want to show you something now. Look, I think you signed it to me as well. Can you see that?
That was the, I think, was that the oldest pub in London?
You signed that the Half Moon Putney for. It's all the notes, all the, you know, it's very tatty, but it's all in there. It's all in there.
Yeah. I'm sure it's been that was we were told. I think I'm not sure it's accurate, but we were told that was one of the oldest pubs in London.
Which pub is it? Which pub was it?
God, I don't know. Probably had too much beer. I can't
remember. I'm going to have to research that now. I'm going to find out. But look, because look, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Can you see it all? Yeah.
Well, something's right. there's something wrong there because we're all smiling.
I've met Francis when he did his
Yeah.
book tour. I talked too much, and I told him that I'd met Rick at the Carnival Queen competition. I hadn't met you yet. I never met Alan, sadly. But hey, you're here.
It's it. Read that there. Nigel
Uh,
says, "Love Pile Driver and Dog of Two Heads. Great albums." You know what it is, John? I just want to say you're a rock and roll legend, right? And Status Quo lives on forever. And it's just, I know what it was like in the 70s here in Australia. And Status Quo, I had relatives that were playing that song 24/7 in their house.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable down here. They all loved you here. They all embraced Status Quo. It was their life. Seriously. Australians here in the 70s.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I'm hoping to come out to Australia in January, you know, with Jilly, my wife, and we'll come out and visit Dale Lancaster, and we've got lots of chums out there in Australia. So, and I'd like to have a look round, and I may even go for that walk over the coat hanger. Which is the bridge. Oh, I don't know. I'm not brave.
I don't know. I don't know Australia. I you know that if hopefully I will go. I haven't been abroad for about 5 years now, so
the way to go, Sabine, is what me and Julie did once. We go, because it is a long way, is go to Singapore for a couple of nights, stay in a nice hotel. And I tell you what, Singapore, you know, is, I can't believe how clean and tidy it was. And you never, ever see graffiti or even a bit of paper.
Rubbish or anything, no. They're very strict laws out there, They're very strict. Yeah. And they're respectful. They sound very respectful. That's the way that they live.
Well, we toured Japan once, and we twice with 2 tours, and it was really odd. They all sit down in theatre seats, behaving themselves, and we walked on, play. And every time, you know, you're playing a song, da la la, ba, boom, finish. They go.
I know. I see this footage. You know, I was going to actually ask you, John. So, you know, in terms of audiences globally, like where I know you can't really sort of say one's better than the other, but I mean, in terms of how they respond, as you just say, some are just sit there and then they're very polite and then they clap, and others are all out like, yeah, you know. So where have been, you know, which country can you tell us that have been like completely full on, you know, like
I think the concerts in Australia and also England, of course, without doubt.
Yeah, of course. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, and also we played, a great memory of mine was playing in the Whiskey, called the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA.
Yeah.
And all these girls come on and say, you know, honey, we don't like where you're staying. When you come and stay with me, I got a bigger house.
There's so many rock and roll stories.
Yeah, there's a lady I know very well from there who's worked at record company. She said, Johnny, I don't like where they put you in this motel. You're staying with me, honey.
Oh.
Go on then.
John, can I ask you, do you want to write a book? Have you got any intention of writing a book about all your memories?
Yeah, your memoirs. Yeah, what about the memoirs?
Well, I did write a book years ago with Stephen Meyer. And I must say, Sabine and Plastic, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. It was bloody awful because trying to remember all those things that, you know, Stephen would come up with a question and I had absolutely no memory or no idea.
Right,
but, you know, it is difficult. Maybe me and Jilly should write. I know she wants to write something about her past, which I'm not sure she would.
Oh. Well, yeah, I know, but the thing is, if you've had a very eventful life, like, I mean, since I've worked in the media, and you know, even like the 1974 when I met Ray and Dave Davis, and my dad at a football match, and then coming to London and just getting into the, you know, and then it just snowballed for me, and I you know, it's been what a great life. I mean, it's had its highs and lows, obviously, but you know, I have got so much that I want to document for my daughters. They need to know what Mum's done before she became Mum. and it's, just all the rock and roll stories, and it's just everything about my childhood. I want to write it all down because my parents never wanted to, because well, they didn't, that generation, they didn't want to write anything down because war memories and stuff. But we can, and we ought to, because we ought to do it for our future generations.
Well, I must say a quick story. I was flying somewhere around the world, I don't know, and this air hostess came up to me and she said, "Excuse me, Mr. Coghlan," she said, "I'm a bit concerned about your friend." I said, "Which one?" I didn't know any friends at that time. She said, "The blonde one." I said, "Oh, that'd be Rick Parfitt." He said, "Look over there." So I looked round, and he's sitting across the aisle by the window, and I was with Alan Oliver. And when you're flying a long time, you get bored. Another drink. Fall asleep, then wake up, another drink. And what he'd done, he just got a packet of cigarettes out, and he put 2 up this nostril, 2 up that nostril, about 5 out of his ear, and about 10 in his ear, and just sat there like that. Right. And I looked over, and she said, "Scott, is he all right?" A bit concerned. I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Don't worry, he does it all the time." I said, "What you got to worry about is when he lights them all."
I love it.
She said, "He's lighting them." I said, No, I'm just winding you up. And by the way, I'll have another glass of wine, please. Just great days. I mean, there were so many funny days, I mean, it was days with John Manning, our driver. He was from Liverpool, a big Liverpoolian guy. He was our roadie. He'd get tired, and Francis would drive, or I'd drive, or Rick would drive, or Alan would drive. And they were just funny days, hilarious. Yeah. Especially on the reunion tour, there was four tour buses, 2 for the road crew and 2 for the band. On our bus was Alan Lancaster, me, Bob Young, and our wives. And then when we stopped going overnight for fuel, say going to another concert the next day, the door would open and Rick Parfitt would get on and come in with some wine and a ukulele or something. And I said, "Where's Francis? Did he come in as well, Rick?" He said, "Rossi, miserable bastard's gone to bed." I said, "You're kidding."
I've heard that one.
They just come back,
It's how rock and roll is that?
It takes you 3 hours to wind down to go bloody. Anyway, we sit there singing Old Lang Syne and all these little silly songs, and we had a wonderful time. I mean, it was just really good fun. But Rick, we miss Rick dearly.
Oh yeah.
Hey John, can I ask, have you ever had anything knocked off on tours? Somebody stolen your drums or anything like that during your career?
No,
not that I'm aware of. No, I don't know. I think I did lose a snare drum donkish years ago. I don't know. Excuse me. Where it was from? I have no idea where we were at the time. But I since bought a snare drum in Stockholm when I was out there playing with my band. And I went to a drum shop and he had more Ludwig drum kits than I can think of. And I bought one and he said, "Oh, no, come this way, John, come this way." And he said, that's one you want. He got it off the shelf and bought it. And I got it now and it's awesome. But that replaced my Ludwig. I think it got stolen. But I think these days, I think you have to make sure that your stuff is not left on its own or left in the van overnight. I don't know. I mean, at the moment, I haven't heard of anything, any gear being nicked, but it's
about some drummers, they throw their drumsticks into the crowd. I mean, I had a pair of drumsticks thrown my way at the Cavern in Rains Park a few weeks ago. So I've got them. Cool. I've got some drumsticks now. I've got to take up the drums.
I thought you were going to say you threw them back.
No way, Jose.
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, how many drumsticks do you think you go through in the course of a tour? Say way back. I'm talking about.
Oh God, I see what you're saying, Sabine, but I haven't broke a stick in years. If you stay there, Sam, I'll just show you my sticks. Stay there.
Yeah, grab the sticks. We want to see them.
Oh wow. I've got the drumsticks somewhere. Where
That's
are
okay. He's going to get his Sabine. It's a fantastic interview.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Such a rock and roll legend, giving us the rock and roll stories.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, there we go. Now, what's so special about these ones, John?
They're Vic Firth.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's American.
Oh, American Classic.
American Classic 55A.
Wow.
They go along like that, look, and it's my signature.
And there's your signature, and there's takes. Oh, fantastic!
Oh, that's fantastic. And they don't break, do they, John? They don't break.
These, no,
indestructible.
No, these are good. These are good sticks, and they're just they're just the right weight. They're great sticks. I love these, but so, Big Firth America. I think the American company put my signature and give me extra sticks when I need them. But really, honestly, the only things that go is probably, as drummers will know, the tips sometimes a bit breaks, so it can make a cymbal sound quite dead.
Right. Okay. And what sort of wood are they made from, John? Does it vary the wood that they use to make the drums? Do you know that?
Yeah, I probably get this wrong. Someone have a go at me on the website now, but I think they're hickory. I think that's what I believe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's strong wood.
I've always wondered that, because they have to be pretty strong.
Yeah, but you know what, Sabine? You don't want someone throwing hickory at your head out to the audience and it bounces off your head.
Oh, good. That's brilliant.
You wouldn't want a drumstick in the eye either.
No. So do you have a studio in your house, John? Do you have an actual studio or a music room, or where do you go to not practice, but just to have a good,
I haven't played for ages, and just me on a drum kit on my own. I mean, what I do, it just comes naturally. I mean, a lot of drummers practice 8 hours a day, and I've never done that. Well, basically with Quo, we were playing every night, and it just I've learned in all my years just sit there and do that. Let the wrist do it, it's just the wrist really.
But what I'm saying is that, do you have a room where you have your drum kits and your congas and all that sort of thing? If it, got it all separate.
When we lived in the Isle of Man, we had a bigger house and I had a music room, and I had about 4 or 5 drum kits. And I used to go when I felt like it, but somehow I was talking to another drummer some time ago. I can't remember who he was, unfortunately, but he was a very good player, and he said, do you practice sit at home for hours, John? I said, no. I said, I just don't. There's something very odd about playing drums on your own, doing drum solos.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to do drum solos, which I don't.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, it's boring. He said, but when you're playing with a band, playing with musicians, it's a great feeling, and that's what makes it work, for me anyway. He was a good drummer in Quo, was Francis. Francis Roses.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a song we recorded. Oh, what was it? Oh, What You're Proposing.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go and listen to that later.
And he played drums when he was writing that. I think he wrote that song. Going to be a Quo fan getting on now. So, oh no, it was someone. You know what it's like.
What you're proposing. Hang on.
And what he did on the demo, he played on the demo. He played me the demo, and I copied what he did, basically within reason. Yeah. So that's it. Hello, what's she got here? Look out.
I love this.
Oh.
This is a double vinyl. I love my vinyl. I'm very old fashioned. I love vinyl. Mean Girl. There's just so many here. I love all of them.
It's a fast shuffle on Mean Girl. Very fast shuffle on Mean Girl. It's a fast shuffle on Mean Girl.
But the thing is that we'll have to go get Francis on. He likes talking. He's written a book.
I tell you what.
I've got to say something, John. I bought a book 2 days before the interview. Do you want to see the book?
Go on, show the book.
Yeah.
I picked it up in a bookshop.
Is that new?
Oh,
I don't know, but I can tell you what it cost me. Didn't cost me very much.
Was it paperback or is that hardback?
Well, I found it. I'm not lying. I found it in a $3 bin.
No.
So I couldn't let it go. I had to get it straight away. I'll just show you the book if it's all right.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So as soon as I saw it, John, I just grabbed it.
Yeah, I would have done too. I love charity.
Here's the book here.
There you go. I have to get that.
Well,
Oh,
you can find it.
can you just have a look inside plastic and see what the publication date is? Just look inside the front cover and see.
I don't know, but you know what? It's like ESP, John, because I didn't know we were going to do an interview with you, and the next thing I know, I bought the book before the interview.
There you go. Life's full of surprises.
Yeah.
I just have a look at the year and just see. Oh. It says 2000, first published in 2004. This edition published in 2006.
Yeah, after me.
Have you seen that book?
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't read it.
I've got so much, like I've got everything. I've got that. I've got this one. I've got this one.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've got a lovely picture disc as well. I mean, anyway, I just love fun. I picked this one up. You signed that for me as well, John, the other day. Yeah, that's the picture disc, the vinyl. That's a limited edition, that one. Wonderful, isn't it?
That's amazing. John, I've got one more question before we let you go. Can you tell me who came up with the name Status Quo and who did the logo?
It was an old manager, Pat Barlow, and he called it. He said, "I got a name for you." He said, "What is it, Pat?" He said, "The Status Quo," and so we were called The Status Quo. Then that didn't last long because we got rid of the and just we called it Status Quo. But I'm not sure if we actually at the time, if we actually fell in love with it. I think we thought, well, that would do. I suppose that'd be called something. I suppose, but it does. It's a household name, whether people like it or not. It is a household name now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, all the people, though, Sabine, actually only like. I spoke to loads of fans, and they say things like, "Well, Quo's all right now, I suppose, but I prefer when it was the original 4 because what we were doing in those days."
Yeah,
and that
sure.
was Status Quo. I think as far as I'm concerned, that was it. And it was full of energy, and it was just a really good band, and I miss it. But fortunately, the band you saw me playing with, JCQ, that really I think is the closest it will be to the original.
Oh yeah, I would say so. And so, as I say, the other day when No Return was played, like Mike Reed's show, you can hear and Knockdown. You can hear it. You can actually hear. Yeah. And
we were supposed to. I remember years ago we were supposed to come to Australia with JCQ for a tour, and then there's an old saying: it actually went tits up, and in Australia, whoever was sorting it, something wasn't right, and it never happened. It was a shame because we would have played to all our fans out there, and I like Australia. It's a good place, and. Yeah.
Well, we want people to go out and see, and everywhere you play, and everybody in the UK has got to come out and support yourself, what you're doing, because you're loving the fans, and you keep
the following is
Quo alive. It's really great.
Yeah. I just want to tell you something. I've got a couple quick things, if I may. Is that when I was at college in 1976-77 in Basingstoke, and we used to have the student union gigs.
Yeah.
And the boys, and the girls, we always used to do the dance. We used to do we all used to do that. We used to freak out to Deep Purple and all like Led Zeppelin, everybody. But we did the dance. we all did it, trying to get in unison. It was funny, but we used to do that. I'll never forget. And then I wanted to tell you that I saw Madeleine Bell a couple of weeks ago. She just turned 80 and she looks absolutely amazing. Her vocals are on top form. And
we used to back Madeleine Bell.
I know, I was going to say that. So there's this very famous quote from her, because she says that you were the best backing band that she'd ever had. Isn't that lovely? There she is.
Yeah.
And so I saw her at the Chicken Shed Theatre venue in Cockfosters. I had to go all the way to Cockfosters to see her. But you know what? We had birthday cake. We hugged. And I spoke to Alan Parker, who was in Blue Mink with her. Oh, I tell you, I had such a blast.
Madeleine Bell, she was so lovely because we were spectres in those days, I think. Anyway, we backed Madeleine Bell for quite a while. And I remember there was a gig where, I don't know where it was, but the person running the concert didn't want to pay us.
Oh.
But Madeleine Bell said, if you don't pay my band, I'm not going on stage. So we said, oh, thanks, Madeleine. And do you know what? She was so fierce with this character. He suddenly came up with hang on, where are you? There you are, with the cash, paid us. Then we went on stage and backed her. But she was lovely. She was a lovely person to work with, and that's gone back a long time.
She's so respected, so loved. You can tell, but I just wanted to tell you that, because of course there's Scorpions, and then he had quite a few band names, didn't he? Changes, and then the Spectres as I say, and then he got to status quo. But
remember one time when we changed the image from that terrible sort of frilly shirt pop star thing, which we like picture.
But that was the thing, wasn't it? That was a 60s kind of thing as well, wasn't it? The frilly shirt thing.
Bob Young said, I think then the hits weren't as good as the previous one, whatever it was. Then Bob said, "I got an idea. Grow your hair long, get rid of those shirts, put jeans on, pair of Levi jeans, a shirt, play colleges and universities." Anyway, so we had this idea from Fleetwood Mac. Cool man.
Yeah.
Walk on stage, plug in and play. No announcement. This guy insisted. He said, "No," he said, "I'm the secretary of the college, and I always announce the band." He'd obviously been smoking, right?
Yeah.
So Bob Young went, "Okay, look, guys, let him do his thing. Let him walk on, announce us. We'll just walk on and play." Now, you think that's simple, Plastic and Sabine? Listen to this. You'll love this bit. Went, okay, and so he walks out. And you could smell the cannabis in the gig.
Yeah.
It was, blimey, I'm stoked.
Wafting.
Yeah. And he walked out there and he said, "Hello, guys and girls. I know you've been waiting for this band for months now. I'd like to say they're here. Ladies and gentlemen, they're here." He forgot who we were.
You've forgotten the name. I love it. And
John, I just got to say this, right? At high school, I can remember this day like yesterday, right? I'm sitting in a classroom in Australia here at Campbell High School, and somebody walks in with this album, and everyone's looking at it. All the guys are looking at this album. And guess who it was? It was Susie Quattro's first album.
Oh,
really lovely. We see Susie every year.
Yeah, she's been on our show, John. Susie's been on our show. Yeah.
She's nice. Nice.
And so I've just turned to something random, and look what I found. Break the Rules, which is all co-written. You guys co-wrote Break the Rules.
Yeah.
I love that one. That's another of my favorites, But I've also, when I've been leafing through this, Bob Young wrote quite a lot with you guys. I didn't realize. I had no idea. When I spoke to Bob the other day, he was telling about Basingstoke, and but I didn't realize that looking through this that he actually co-wrote with you.
Oh, a lot of the time, yeah.
I thought it was mainly Rick and Francis. And there are a few, of course, and Alan. But I just didn't realise he had an input because he was your manager, wasn't he? For how long?
No, he was our tour manager.
Or tour manager, yeah, tour manager.
So, but then the guys would sit down in the hotel, get the guitars out. Then Bob would join in, play harmonica, and then it would just develop like that, And if there was 4 in the room, then 4 wrote it. I mean, roll over, lay down. I helped with that, so I got a note on that, and AB Blues, a B-side, and one of the singles. Yeah. But that's how it works. And but I was told recently, found through a few people, we've not been told, but we were told that Quos are re-releasing some double albums. It's not been mentioned. So there you go. I'll find out more.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time,
John. And I just want to say, it's been a pleasure. And I said, you are a rock and roll legend. It's going to live on forever. And you don't know how much respect we really got for you. I'll be playing Quo songs in my car tomorrow as I'm driving around Melbourne, Australia.
It's going on the deck. It's going on the deck. I've got 2 singles to put on my jukebox. I've actually bought a jukebox. I've been wanting one since 1970 when I first saw one in the Isle of Wight with my family. And, anyway, so I'm going to put two singles on there.
We had a jukebox in the Isle of Man when me and Julie lived there. We had a jukebox.
Oh, fantastic. Which one? Yeah. Which one did you have? Which type?
Rockola.
Rockola, yeah. This is a Bellamy. It's a small junior one, but it only has like 20 selection. And because it's not stereo, because it's a 1956 model, this is the guy that in Twickenham, he ever you need something reconditioned, the guy, David Pedder, plug, he's fantastic. He services all these jukeboxes for loads of people. But anyway, this is a dinky little thing. It's in my kitchen and I love it. And it's it mainly plays 60s disc because of the model age, 1956. There you go.
Right.
But I'm going to put it on anyway. Yeah. Thanks so much for your time today, John. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you again, John.
Thanks, Blessing.
See you soon. I'll let you know when I can go, when I've got my ticket for the convention, and I'll let Ginny know. And everybody go out there, go on the page, sign up, buy the album, buy the single, everything. Just go to John's page, www.johncoghlan.com, I believe.
Thank you, John.